Hello Revolution students, and welcome back to another video on the Russian Revolution area of study 2. In this video we are going to look at how women fared under the new Bolshevik regime between November 1917 up to 1927. So let us get into it. The first thing we need to understand and to look at is what Lenin's attitude and what the Bolsheviks' attitude was to women. And for Lenin, he recognised that the participation of women was crucial to achieving a successful socialist revolution in Russia, and that only through communism could women be liberated. And he referred to the important role of women in the revolution in a number of his writings and in some speeches as well. And I have one of Lenin's speeches here, and it was given at the first All-Russian Congress of Working Women on the 19th of November 1918, and he said, "There can be no socialist revolution unless very many working women take a big part in it. In all civilized countries, even the most advanced, women are actually no more than domestic slaves. One of the primary tasks of the Soviet Republic is to abolish all restrictions on women's rights. Nowhere else in the world have equality and freedom for working women been so fully established. We know that it is the working class woman who has to bear the full brunt of antiquated codes. For the first time in history, our law has removed everything that denied women rights." So, this conference that I just referred to is one of several that the Bolsheviks held in order to organise and mobilise women in the revolution. And the first one, as I just referred to there, was that Russian Congress of Working Women in November 1918. It had over 1,000 participants and it achieved a number of things. First up, it established better connections between women from urban areas and less developed rural areas. It also attracted many women to socialism. Many of those who attended the conference joined the Bolsheviks and/or the female militias, the Red Sisters, and then actively fought against the Whites during the Civil War. Another key achievement of the Bolsheviks was that they founded Zetundel, the women's section of the Communist Party, in 1919, and its task was to educate women about socialism and recruit them into the Bolshevik Party. According to Sean Egan, he said that Zetundel was designed to empower revolutionary women to direct their own liberation. As a consequence of its efforts, the proportion of women deputies in local Soviets increased in rural areas from 1% in 1922 to 10% in 1926, and in urban areas from 5.7% in 1922 to 18% by 1926. So there is a good stat you can use in your responses if you get a question about how women fared under the Bolshevik regime from November 1917 up to 1927. Let us keep going on. Okay, and the Bolsheviks also passed a number of laws and decrees in order to empower women and increase their rights within Russian society at that time. They passed the Marriage Code of 1918, which gave married women complete legal equality to their partners and made divorce much easier. This was a huge improvement for women, particularly how they fared under the old Tsarist regime. For according to Tsarist law, women were not much more than men's slaves, and men had, by law, the right to beat their wives. And obviously women had no right to divorce their husbands whatsoever. Another law that was passed by the Bolsheviks was the Decree on Women's Health of October 1920, and that legalised abortion. And by 1926, paid maternity leave before and after birth was introduced. Night work for women who had just fallen pregnant or given birth was prohibited, and special maternity wards in hospitals were also set up. Female Bolshevik leaders gained significant positions of authority under the new regime, and we've already seen two of the most famous ones. So on the previous slide, I had a picture there of Anessa Armand, and on this slide here you can see there Alexandra Kollontai. So Anessa Armand, After October 1917, she served as an executive member of the Moscow Soviet, and then she was appointed the first head of Zetindel in 1919. While Alexandra Kollontai was appointed Commissar of Social Welfare when the Bolsheviks got into power, and then she became the head of Zetindel in 1920 after the death of Inessa Armand. Female leaders like these, they advocated for female equality within the Bolshevik Party and Russia itself, and they were important role models for other Russian women. Okay, now let's have a look at a couple of historical interpretations about how women fared under the new Bolshevik regime between November 1917 and 1927. And they are two contrasting historical interpretations, and the first one is from Marie Fredriksson, and she writes, "A fundamental need to inform women about their new position and draw them into active participation in public life opened up. In particular, Kollontai, Armand, Krupskaya, and Nikolaeva played a crucial role in getting the Communist Party to decide to set up new organisational structures to mobilise women." So those women played a key role in the Bolshevik Party at that time. And our second historical interpretation is from Richard Pipes, and he writes, "And since communism led to a general lowering of living standards, the net effect of communist innovations was for the condition of married women appreciably to deteriorate." So for Richard Pipes, he argues that married women did not fare better under the Bolshevik regime. However, other historians, such as Marie Fredriksson, believe that the Bolsheviks did achieve much for women. Anyway, that is our video on how women fared under the Bolshevik regime from November 1917 right up to 1927. I hope you find it useful for your study of the Russian Revolution area of Study 2, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.